Okay, everybody, I'm back. Looks like I had a computer malfunction. My computer crashed on me. I had to reboot it. So what I'll probably do, I'll make that the first video that I did is going to be version 1, and then I'll make the second one version 2. Let me get back. For those of you that were with me not too long ago, I was talking about Kamala Harris. I know. Okay, can everybody hear me now? The sound is working. Technical problems. I can't stand technical problems, everybody. Sorry about the computer crashed on me, but everybody can hear the sound. That's great. Let me get back into this. Let me not waste any time. So I will make this a part 2. The other one, part 1. I'll do what I have to do with these videos. But let's get back into it. I was talking about Kamala Harris in terms of the fact that she sort of marginalizes her black heritage with the way she characterized Jamaica as, we used to, we used to smoke weed in Jamaica. Her father was not happy about that characterization that she made. But when she talks about the East Indian side of her culture, she seems to be very enthralled with that part of her culture. And in my opinion, uses the black side of her culture when it is politically expedient for her, as you're seeing it being played out with Joe Biden picking her as VP, because he needs to appeal to black people. And particularly it was black women who were asking for this. What I don't understand is black women, how do you identify with Kamala Harris if you look at her prosecution record as it relates to what she did to black women in the Bay Area, San Francisco, and California with her truancy laws, and as it relates to how she did not do what was necessary when black men were being killed by police. I went over her record earlier when you were all on the first time. Let me read this one. Harris handling of wrongful convictions has been called into question. As AG, as Attorney General of California, her office fought against new DNA testing for death row inmate Kevin Cooper, who claimed he was framed for murder. Some legal experts believe that Kevin Cooper was wrongfully convicted, and she looked the other way. I talked about her crime lab, where they debauched 600 cases, and it took a judge to come in and fix the mess that her lab and her people created. So her record, as it relates to dealing with the community, has not been a great record at all. Now, what I wanted to do, what I was trying to do earlier when I was on, is I was going to show you this video where she seemed to definitely clearly identify how she sees herself. Once again, this isn't about bashing the woman. It's simply about presenting evidence that's documented, that's on the record, of Kamala Harris. Even if her and Joe Biden win the election and get Donald Trump out of office, you still need to know who you are dealing with, especially when she's trying to appeal to the black community, which she has done some damage towards with her policies as a attorney general of California and her policies when she was district attorney in San Francisco. Now, let me play this video, and you see the difference in how she is giddy about the East Indian side of her culture. And I told you earlier tonight that you have people who are East Indian all over social media that are really not identifying her as East Indian. They're not really, and they weren't the ones who put pressure on Joe Biden. It was black women, particularly, and 100 black men who wrote letters and demanded that he pick a black woman, and his choice was Kamala Harris, who went third place, as I say again, when she ran for presidential election in the primary to see who would run for president against Donald Trump. She dropped to third place. Now let me play this video. Hope it puts perspective on what I'm saying.
Guys. Wait, so here's what I want to know.
Okay.
Is it respectful to call, like, I should be calling you Senator Harris, right?
No, you should not. That's not on my birth certificate.
Okay.
Call me, yes, please.
Okay, because the Indian in me, I feel like my parents, my dad will watch this.
Just don't call me auntie.
Okay, I won't call you auntie. They'll be like, how could you call her by her first name? She's worked so hard. Okay, so what we're going to cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because you are Indian.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't know that everybody knows that, but I find that wherever I go and I see Indian people at the supermarket, on the street, everyone's like, you know, Kamala Harris is Indian, right? It's like the thing we're so excited about to have you running for president.
Yeah.
So we're both Indian, but actually we're both South Indian.
Yes. You look like the entire one half of my family.
Okay, thank you.
You do.
I've been telling people we're related already, so this is perfect. It's basically true. And so were you raised eating South Indian food?
South Indian food.
Okay, so let me go back in. So that's the video, everybody. I'm sure some of you have seen this video already. Give me what your thoughts are in the chat room, whatever your thoughts are. Let me say this once again. It is nothing wrong with identifying with one's culture. But the problem is when you identify one culture and you speak upon it in a pleasant manner, and then when you identify the black side of yourself, you actually disrespected your father, who is from Jamaica, who says that he didn't appreciate you equating Jamaica as it relates to weed smoking, because Jamaica is more than that. He did not appreciate that and like that. And then when you speak of being black, it is always packaged in you trying to get votes to become elected to something. I have a problem with that. And they create this nice resume for her in terms of she went to Howard. So what? There's a lot of people of different races and people that are mixed race who go to Howard University in Washington, D.C., one of the HBCs. So she went to Howard. She became a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I get that. But what I'm saying is when it comes to people running for elective office, we have to examine. I think black people on television, black people in the mainstream, the black establishment, they have people are acting as if they're already elected. They're acting as if the parting of the sea has been open. But the one thing I notice in this whole situation, nobody is asking what they are expecting of Kamala Harris. Even the black women, the Angela Rye's, all these people that you see on television, as much as they were telling Biden that they wanted a black woman, that's not tangible, folks. We need tangibles. Kamala Harris being on the ticket, the question no one's asking is, what does it give us? what is it? What does it do for us? What is the tangibles? Are we getting reparations, ADOS, American descendants of slavery? Are we getting reparations out of Kamala Harris? What are we getting? What are we getting from Joe Biden for our vote? Because Democrats have for long taken our votes for granted. So the question again is, what do we get for our vote other than Joe Biden saying if you don't vote for him, you ain't black enough?
Problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump and you ain't black.
Remember he said this to Charlemagne of the Breakfast Club. Let's hear this nonsense.
Primaries this year, they have things they want from you, and one of them is a black woman running mate. What do you say to them?
What I say to them is that I'm not acknowledging anybody who is being considered, but I guarantee you there are multiple black women being considered. Multiple.
Well, you know,
Thanks so much. That's really our time. I apologize.
You can't do that to the black media.
I can't do that to white media and black media because my wife has to go on at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in trouble.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump. It has to do with the fact I want something for my community. I would love to see.
Take a look at my record, man. I extended the voting rights 25 years. I have a record that is second to none. The NAACP has endorsed me every time.
Let me stop that nonsense right there. Just nonsense. As you can see, everybody, Charlemagne was saying to Joe Biden that he wants something for his people. But you notice Joe Biden never said what he was prepared to give black people. He simply said, look at my record, man. I've got no one has a record like mine. Yeah, no one has a record like you, Joe Biden, your 94 crime bill. A lot of black people who are part of the establishment, part of this media, are telling us that we should stop talking about that. How the hell can you stop talking about that when that put so many black men in jail on chumped up charges? Remember, you had the whole powder cocaine versus the crack cocaine where black men were doing 25 years to minimum sentences for being caught with crack cocaine versus powder. And when the white dudes would get caught with powder cocaine, they get some type of fine or community service. That wasn't happening to black men. And it was Joe Biden that said, we're going to lock them up. And as I said before, he did this with Strom Thurmond, a man that he revered, a man that he looked up to, a man that he had fond thoughts about. Okay? Very fond thoughts about. That's this man right here, as I said before. Okay? So my question is, he didn't tell us, Joe Biden never said what he's going to do for black people. And the game that the Democrats play and the Republicans play the same game as well is they get into all of this stuff about trickle down. If I do this for all people, it's going to all trickle down. They get into trickle down type politics with us. When black people are asking for what we want, we're told we got to wait. We're told it's got to be something that's got to be done for everybody. It's got to be a policy. But Kamala Harris, along with Joe Biden, she said that the first day that she goes into office when she ran for president in the primaries is that she's going to fix everything for the kids of the DACA, right? She's going to do DACA. You got Biden talking about he's going to, do stuff for DACA as well. He's going to do stuff for the LGBTQ community. He's going to do something. So every other group is getting tangibles or getting direct answers to what they want. And black people, we can't get any direct answers to what we want. I'll give you a perfect example of this. Let's hear Kamala Harris in the question of reparations. And you notice she ain't saying nothing about reparations right now. Not a damn thing. And we need to examine this because I got a problem with this. fundamentally. So let's hear what she has to say.
Segregation, and now we have.
Let's play this back and let you hear it from the very beginning. Here we go.
Do you support reparations for Black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination and segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No, because whatever benefits that Black family will benefit that.
Let me end that nonsense right now. That's the problem. Kamala Harris, that's the reason why there's many Black people out here, young people and old, that are not rocking with you, because that young lady asked you a direct question. She did not ask you about a program of trickle-down politics. Whatever is good for the country is going to benefit Black people. She talked about the disparities. That's not the question. See, this is what politicians do. They don't answer questions that are asked of them directly. That young lady did not ask Kamala Harris about disparities. She simply asked her the most simplest question: do you support reparations? Let me play this back one more time.
Community and society as a whole in the country. Community and society as a whole in the.
Do you support reparations for Black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had.
Let me stop it right there. She's not answering the question. That is not a question that you need to say, well, look, well, listen, we had 200. If you know that we had, and look, she don't even have that right. It was more than 200 years of slavery. This is what I'm saying. In my opinion, Kamala Harris is not rooted, as Tone Talks would say, as Yvette Carlette would say, she's not rooted in lineage of Black people that were born here, that come out of shackle slavery, Jim Crow, redlining. She doesn't come out of that background. I'm sorry. We can say she's Black because her father is a Black man from Jamaica who immigrated over here. There's many people that are immigrated over here. I'm not hating on any of that. But she's not grounded in the things that Black people that were born here dealt with, because she said, for one, 200 years of slavery. Now, let me go back to this again. Let me hear the rest of what she said.
For almost a century.
Right. Okay.
We had legalized discrimination and segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists.
Okay, this is the deal. If she's able to rattle off the fact that we had Jim Crow and we had legalized segregation And we had all of those. And then she said 200 years of slavery, which actually was more than that, because Jim Crow was just another form of slavery, not to mention sharecropping, not to mention convict leasing, in which black men were incarcerated purposely and then put into convict leasing across different parts of this country, not to mention doing slavery and the breeding of black people in Baltimore, Maryland, where they had breeding in that particular state, where they made black women and men breed to have children, to put more kids into slavery. Not to mention the slave patrols that were going on, not to mention land and redlining and gentrification and all these things that have gone on. How can she say the little things that she said and not be able to come to a conclusion that black people need reparations? She simply went with the safe politician thing to say because she's a politician. Well, look, I'm not going to help all black people. The reason why she has to say that, because it's the same thing that Obama had to do. He had to, even when Obama was asked questions that were really geared towards black people, he had to slip and slide around these same issues as well. Okay, let me put the picture up right here. Even Obama had to slip and slide around these things. Even Obama didn't want to come out and say things straight up as it relates to black people. He was talking this same thing about, he wants to be everything to everybody. You can't be everything to everybody. But when you do have somebody who you're supposed to identify with, or so you say you identify with, and they ask you a straight out question and you can't answer that, then I got to scratch my head and say, is she really for what's in the best interest of black people? I have to say that. I can't say to myself that I'm excited about her being picked as VP. It doesn't mean anything, black people, everybody out there, if we don't get anything out of her vice presidency. And I got to be honest with you tonight. Let's look at this. This is by way of Yvette Carnell as well. I used this. She had this on her show. Let's look at where black people are economically when it comes to our assets. What are the assets that are held by us compared to white people and non-white people in their households? Let's look at this right now. Now, the chart that I have on the screen, look at it closely. It's circled. Thanks to Yvette Carnell. She does great work on her channel. Shout out to her. Look at this. Limited assets, total assets, white people, medium value, 110,000. Percentages of white households, assets, medium value, percentages of white household, liquid assets. That's what you're worth when you say liquid. Now, look at that. U.S. black people. We're at medium value of 200. We're at a percentage of household of liquid assets of what? 0.2. A percentage of household liquid assets is for black people is at 8.5. For African blacks, that's black people who migrated here from the continent. They're doing they're doing better than us in the medium value of 60,000. 54.5 when it comes to the percentage of liquid assets. For the percentage of household liquid assets, black people who come from the continent are at what? 42.8%. Mexicans, people that are Mexicans, they're at 0 medium value. They're at 0 percentage of household liquid assets, but they're at 1.4% liquid assets. So they're doing bad as well. They're doing very bad as well. So on that chart, you can see that black people overall, we're still not where we need to be. We're still not where we need to be. And so when she can't make up her mind about whether we deserve reparations or not, that's a problem.
Clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
She said, no, I'm going to play it again.
Be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
She said it. I didn't say it, ladies and gentlemen. She said it out of her mouth. She said, no, I'm not going to do just something for black people. That's what we've been hearing forever and a day. My question, even when Barack was in office, we could not get even Barack to answer single questions that meet our needs and our desires. That's a problem, folks. I've got a problem with that. That has to be examined. We got Marlo's Music Channel in the house. Rob All Banks in the house. G Scott's in the house. Tommy's in the house. Marlo's Music Corner, Music Channel is in the house. Check them out. Marlo's Music Channel. Cool Jim is in the house. Peggy Rosser's in the house. Thank you. Tommy's in the house. High Favors in the house. Do me a favor, because I had a boo-boo tonight. Share this in your social media. After I end this stream tonight, I'm going to have to go in. I'm going to put a different thumbnail on this second part 2 of this video. Part 1 is the video that kind of broke down in the middle when I was still going at it. So I had to reload this up again. This will be part 2. And I'm going to go in and change that to part 1 and put different thumbnails on that. And now we got my man giving me the super chat. I appreciate that, brother. I got to give you the beautiful, fireworks, brother. I appreciate that. Thank you for that.
Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, thank you, brother. All right, brother. Thank you for the super chat. I definitely appreciate that. Much love to you for doing what you just did. I love that. That was fantastic, brother. Thank you for the super chat and $2 super chat. I appreciate that. Everybody that's come in the house, I'm glad that people came back. So let me go back to where I'm at with this presentation. So once again, I got to look at Kamala Harris with a side eye when it came to a very fundamental question about reparations. She does not seem to have a plan when it comes to reparations, and that is a problem. You see her and Joe Biden up here looking at each other with lovey-dovey eyes when he picked her, doing her best to act like she's surprised, right? And this is the same Joe Biden, as I said before, who, he did things to put criminal bills out there that did not help us at all. And of course, your black people, once again, just like you're getting excited about Kamala Harris, you had black people who got excited about your black president, Bill Clinton, who actually signed the crime bill that Joe Biden put together with Strom Thurmond. And this is the same Bill Clinton who attacked Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, the brother who coined the phrase Black Power, saying that he did this in a disrespectful way at John Lewis's funeral, saying that, the civil rights movement was going in the wrong direction with that the Stokely Carmichael guy, right? Because he was talking about Black Power, but they felt comfortable with John Lewis because John Lewis was more passive. So Bill Clinton, y'all's first black president, he signed that bill. And we got people running around telling us that Kamala Harris is the one. She's the one we got to put our money on. She's the one we got to believe in. And I'm telling you again, what does a vice president do? How much power does she have as vice president, ladies and gentlemen? Because let me bring up my man, Willie Brown. Willie Brown. Let me bring up Willie Brown, who's a brother who knows how to dress in them fine suits he be wearing. But let's bring up Willie Brown real quick here. You can see him on the screen. And let me do something real quick here. Let me get back to this. Here I am back on the screen again. And let me go over to Willie Brown real quick and let y'all check out his fine vines he got on, his clothing. So Willie Brown, who we know Willie Brown was in a relationship with Kamala Harris. This is another gut check for everybody in the chat room because this goes to her character. Character, again, is qualities that you possess, okay? It represents the qualities that one possesses. And this is speaking to her character. Now, Willie Brown said this. This is why vice president, as everyone's getting all happy about it in some parts of our black communities, doesn't really hold the juice that you think it holds. Harris has tested and proven, is a tested, proven campaigner who will work her backside off to get Biden elected. That said, the vice presidency is not the job she should go for. This is Willie Brown who said this, that she should not go for. Asking to be considered as a attorney general in a Biden administration would be more like it. This is what Brown wrote of the California Democrat, who is widely considered to be the front runner in the VP race, which he wrote this before she got the appointment, and then she got the appointment. So he's basically saying, my man Willie Brown, he's basically saying that he thinks that she would be better suited as the attorney general, given her background as a top cop, right, in California, than being the vice president. He says that's a nowhere job. That's a nowhere job that doesn't get you anywhere. And there are statistics to back that up, that there have been vice presidents in the past and their careers never took off. You can look at Gore. You know, a lot of them tend to run for president and not get it. And sometimes their career doesn't take off after no longer being vice president. It doesn't really go anywhere. It's a nothing burger, as some would say. So Willie Brown is saying this, but this is her character. When she was asked about her relationship with Willie Brown, because it's very known, especially in the Bay Area, that back in '96, I believe, when she was dating Willie Brown, that Willie Brown has connections in California. He was heavily politically connected in the Bay Area, and particularly in California, because he was an assembly speaker for 30 years or more in the state capitol in Sacramento. This man held and wielded political power in California, particularly in the Bay Area, and he also became mayor of San Francisco, and that's at the time that he met Kamala Harris. But when she was asked about her relationship with Willie Brown, she sort of threw him under the bus. This speaks to character, ladies and gentlemen, as if she never had any dealings with him. And Willie Brown admitted that he had helped many people in the political game in San Francisco, and he did have a lot to do with Kamala Harris being where she is today. Now we've got my man Gregory X, who gave me another super chat, who says this: Harris is dangerous because Jim Crow Joe displays the hallmark sympathy of dementia and may not complete a full term. Yeah, I mean, he may not complete a full term. She could potentially become, Brother Gregory X, she could potentially become a president if Joe Biden doesn't make the full term of his presidency. So we got to say, maybe she could be looking at the bigger picture. And Willie Brown, in this article I'm looking at, said that he knew that she was a very ambitious young lady. And before I go on, I've got to give this brother love for giving me the super chat. And I got to give him some fireworks. I got to give him some fireworks, no doubt.
Thank you for the super chat.
All right, thank you, brother, for the super chat. I appreciate that. So Willie Brown, let me go on with this. He's saying that she's dedicated. You know, she's a dedicated person. She's a good campaigner. But historically, vice presidents have often ended up being at a dead end. That's what Willie Brown was saying. Now, check this out. As I said, she was dating him. He actually helped put her on, as they would say, to help her political career. And one can make the argument that she's where she is now because it was Willie Brown that promoted her to where she is now, because she became attorney general or a district attorney of San Francisco. And you can't tell me that Willie Brown didn't have something to do with that, because he was dating her. Now check this out. Harris, 55 years old now, and Brown dated until 1996. When Brown was elected mayor of San Francisco, as I said, their relationship was placed back under the microscope. In early 2019, when Brown published an op-ed book or discussion how they dated after Harris launched her presidential bid, in it, he acknowledged supporting her in her career, but said he had helped scores of other politicians in the past. The difference is that Harris is the only one who, after I helped her, this is Willie Brown. Let me put his picture back up here, full scale, because this needs to be emphasized, ladies and gentlemen. That's Harris right there, and that's Willie Brown right there. They were involved with each other. He acknowledges that Harris is the only one who, after I helped her, sent word that I would be indicted if I so as much jaywalked while she was DA of San Francisco. Harris, for her part, has sort of distanced herself from Willie Brown. I don't know why. The man helped her career. Back in 2003, she described her former relationship with Brown in an interview with San Francisco Weekly as an albatross that was hanging around her neck. This is what she said. Remember, character represents characteristics that one possesses. This is part of Kamala's character, that a man in Willie Brown's caliber as a politician helped her. And then when she runs for presidency, she wants to leave him in the dust, say that he's an albatross around her neck. She said this: I refuse to design my campaign around criticizing Willie Brown for the sake of appealing to the independents when I have no doubt that I am independent of him. See? And that he would probably right now express some fight about the fact that he cannot control me. She told the outlet, this is the media outlet, his career, this is what she said about Willie Brown. See, this is why I said in politics, there are no permanent friends. There are no permanent enemies. There's only permanent interests. Her interest was running for presidency, and because Willie Brown didn't have the juice to get her into presidency, she left him in the dust and talked about him like a dog. She said this, ladies and gentlemen. This was what she was quoted as saying in an article when she was being interviewed, when she ran for president. And she ran for president, she dropped to third, ladies and gentlemen. She says this: Willie Brown, his career is over. I will be alive and kicking it for the next 40 years. I do not owe him a thing. a spokesperson for Harris, did not respond to the post request and comment. That's Kamala Harris. That's what she said. That's what she did. And I got to be honest with you, folks. That's what she said. Her relationship with Willie Brown there, she had a relationship with him. And when she denied wanting to recognize that he gave her support. But this is the thing. Let me show you some pictures. These are old school pictures of her with Willie Brown. They had a thing together that she cannot run away from. Pictures can tell you 1,000 words, ladies and gentlemen. Pictures will give you the whole story. Look at this right here. Look how she's hugged up with him. That's her boo. He was her boo back in the day. And look at this picture with her with Willie Brown. See, you can't escape from your past. Look at this picture here with her and Willie Brown. Look at this. Look at that. So when it was politically expedient, politically appropriate, what do some people say that women do sometimes? And I'm not throwing shade on women, but this is something that we do talk about on YouTube. When females do tend to monkey branch from one person to another. They'll go from one guy. If that one guy doesn't have the money, the resources to get that woman where she wants to be, if she's ambitious, this is not sexism, this is just facts. Then that woman will possibly monkey branch to someone else. So she monkey branched to Willie Brown when it was convenient for her politically, right? And then as she was moving up the ladder and easing on down the yellow brick road, she traded Willie Brown's black you-know-what, and she upgraded herself to a Zanny. Here we go. Boom. Am I cooking with grease tonight, or am I cooking with grease tonight? And I know somebody super chatted me. I'm trying to stay on point with the presentation. We've got Dart Van Smith. I've been watching for a while, brother. Keep going, doing your thing. Thank you for your support, and I got to give you the most up respect.
Thank you for the super chat.
And while I do that, you know I got to give you those fireworks. Got to give them to you. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, brother. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. I really appreciate that.
Trump was figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
And you ain't black, as Joe Biden said, you ain't black. Okay?
Be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
So, as I was saying before, she went from Willie Brown, who was her boo at one time, and then she upgraded to her Zanny. She upgraded, fell in love with this man, and the rest is history. Became a stepmother to his daughter, and the rest is history. You can see her there holding her in the arm, embracing her. So somehow the man who she was dating, let me tell you what the age differences were. All right, Willie Brown, when he was dating her, I believe he was, no, I don't believe, Willie Brown was in his 60s, right? And Kamala Harris was, I think, 29 years old, 30. She was a young tenderoni there. Look at her, young tenderoni, as we used to call it back in the day. You remember the song by Young Tenderoni, right? She's a young tenderoni. And at that time, she got with Willie Brown, got what she needed out of Willie Brown, and then she went on and upgraded herself to a full-fledged Zanny. And then talks about Willie Brown like a dog. Now, I got a problem with this, and we see this on YouTube a lot too. I'm going to tell you why. This is why I have a problem with this, ladies and gentlemen. Give me 1 minute. All right. This is why I have a problem with this. Because so often when you have a person who's supposed to be black, when they date outside their race, particularly in this case, they have a white boyfriend, a white husband, or a white girlfriend, then they want to start talking ratchet about black people. If you're happy in your interracial relationship, okay, do your thing. But why talk about black people? So why she moved away from Willie Brown and she got with her husband now she wants to throw Willie Brown under the bus because she's aspiring to be president of the United States. So for black women and black people out there saying, oh, she's going to be the first female black vice president, I'm going to say something that's going to probably make people unhappy, but I got to tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
I believe who you're married to, who you lay in the bed with speaks to your politics. It speaks to what you see as important, because when you're married to someone, you're dedicating your life to them. So we have, on the one hand, we have a woman who we're calling a black woman who really identifies with a lot of her East Indian culture, uses black culture conveniently when she's running for political office, and then when she goes home at night, she's not with a black man. So where do you think she's getting her strength and her politics from? And that's why I'm saying, do you think she's going to be in the best interest of black people? How can she be in the best interest of us when she's asked the fundamental question, how do you feel about reparations? And she can't give a direct answer. How do we reconcile that, folks? How do we reconcile that?
Do you support reparations for black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination and segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing.
And as we know already, she said this.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
So she said she's not going to do something that only benefits black people. She went on to talk about all these disparities, but never answered the question directly. Let me play something else for you all to listen to. You will recognize the voice when you hear it.
And peep the game. Aziz Hanifa says, what did your mom instill in you in terms of culture and heritage? They're asking about her mom, okay? And listen to what Kamala Harris said in 2009 when asked by an Indian writer about, this is all he asked, what did your mom instill in you in terms of culture and heritage? Her answer, now listen to the answer. She says, quote, my mother was very proud of her Indian heritage and taught us, me and my sister Maya, to share in the pride about our culture. We used to go back to India every couple of years. One of the most influential people in my life, in addition to my mother, was my grandfather, P.V. Gopalan, who actually held a post in India that was like the Secretary of State position in this country. My grandfather was one of the original independence fighters in India, and some of my fondest memories from childhood were walking along the beach with him after he retired and lived in Besant Nagar in what was then called Madras. He would take walks every morning along the beach with his buddies, who were all retired government officials, and they would talk about politics, about how corruption must be fought, and about justice. Now, let me stop here in my quotations here. She's telling you that her mother was a member of the privileged class in India. Did you get that? She just told you that her mother was a member of the privileged class in India. The daughter of a government official? You already know the get down there. The daughter of a government official. They were members of the privileged upper class. And then she comes over here to America and tries to convince you she's, quote, one of us? When she was a member of the privileged upper class. This is how serious this game is. This is how serious it is.
Okay. So I wanted to play that to put some perspective. You know, that's Jason Black that was speaking there. I just wanted to put some perspective on that. As we get close to a conclusion, I want to bring up something else too that's dear to how many of you, let me read something to you. How many of you are familiar with a young man by the name of Mario Woods? Kamala Harris was involved in this situation. This was a young man that was shot in San Francisco years ago by 5 police. The police circled him. And this young man had some problems. He had some issues because he did have a knife, but let me read to you. Woods was shot 20 times by 5 San Francisco police. Let me put this on the screen. I have a picture that I could show you that puts perspective on this, most definitely. And here it is. Woods was shot 20 times by 5 San Francisco police officers, okay, who were responding to reports of a man with a knife, according to San Francisco police and the medical officers. The officers encircled Woods, who was backed against a wall, and began firing when one of the officers engaged Woods, whose arm was out strangled with the knife. And strangled with the knife, said then Police Chief Greg Sue. At the time of the death, Woods was 26 years old. He was a suspect in nearby stabbing. Woods was later found to have methamphetamines in his system, so he was under the influence of drugs. The shots was captured on cell phone video by multiple bystanders and was shared across social media. Now, this is a trip because I couldn't remember this until I did the research, and I realized I did see this video. This happened in the Bayview Hunter Point area of San Francisco, an area that has been prominently known as an area where black people live. You got the Fillmore, you got Bayview Hunters Point, Betrayal Hill, things of that nature. Of course, black people are being gentrified out of San Francisco. Our population is dwindling to nothing. But what happened was this brother right here, I don't know if you recognize him. This is Kevin Epps. This is a brother who is a filmmaker. He made the movie straight out of I got a brain fart right here. Straight out of Bayview. So he made a movie that was depicting life in Bayview for young black men. Some of the things that happen in the streets. He and the community in San Francisco pleaded with Kamala Harris. I don't think anybody who has done a story about Harris so far on YouTube has brought this to your attention. So that brother, along with the community, they were pleading with Kamala Harris because she was the attorney general. They wanted her to step in and investigate the San Francisco Police Department because when they shot Mario Woods, one, they did not need to shoot him in the way they did. 20 times, 5 cops shot him 20 times. They had him backed up against a wall. He wasn't going anywhere. And apparently, they claimed that they were following policy, and then we found out later on that that policy had been changed. And you had people in the community like brother Kevin Epps, and you also had a brother who was a Muslim brother by the name of Christopher Muhammad X, who was a well-known Muslim of the Nation of Islam, a well-known Muslim in the community of San Francisco, a leader within the Muslim faith, who spoke out about a lot of the bullshit that has been going on in San Francisco with black people. I'm going to play you the audio. And in the audio, they were asking for Kamala Harris to get involved in this situation, to do something about it. And it was not in her interest to really do anything about it, is what I'm telling you. It wasn't in her interest. They were pleading with her. A lot of the people in the black community, particularly this brother right here, who's the filmmaker, Kevin Epps. He wrote in the Bayview Hunters Point newspaper, he said that black people in San Francisco were pleading with Kamala Harris saying, sister, you got where you were because of us. We put you in office. We put you in the district attorney's office. We supported you. We put you in the office of attorney general in California. Black people put you on. Black people voted for you. Black people supported you, just like Willie Brown put her on. And did she do anything? I'm here to tell you, when it came to this brother, Mario Woods, Kamala Harris did not use the power. The woman who's running for vice president now, the woman with the $1 million smile, as you see there, the woman who's supposed to be black, right? Supposed to be black, didn't do a damn thing to heed the cries of the people. This is what happened, folks. This is the reality. Now, what I'm going to do is show you the video that puts it all in perspective right now. This is in the community of San Francisco. I know Minister Christopher Muhammad X. I've met him. My mom knows him. He's well known in the community out there. I know San Francisco like the back of my head. I lived there for years, went to high school and college there. Went to junior high school there, elementary school there. I know politics. They treat black people in San Francisco like shit. They tell you that San Francisco is this liberal city, but it treats black people like shit. So let's hear it. Let's hear the truth, because you know my program is about truth.
Tell the truth.
Here we go.
Volumes to how black men are viewed in law enforcement. It's part of the culture of law enforcement to see black men as the enemy. And when you engage them, you're engaging an animal. Now, until and unless, and look, we've tried to reform the police department.
We tried.
I know, Chief, sir.
Yes, I do.
We've engaged this department for years.
Several conversations.
Tried to set up an African-American community police relations board. Tried to engage them with civilian review. The department, the police union, fought it every step of the way. Kamala Harris is going to have to step in and oversee this investigation, because these people will not investigate themselves. This is cover up at the highest level. I was just in Chicago where our young brother was murdered. It took them 13 months to investigate, and it wasn't until the tape came out that they charged this policeman with murder. Oscar Grant, the movement started because the community decided that the DA had to go. If you weren't going to charge that officer with murder, the DA had to go. The DA told us he was not going to do it. So we told the DA, oh, you're going to do it or you'll be out of office. The DA quit. The officer was charged with murder, and it's the first time in California history that an officer was charged with murder. Now, in Baltimore, officers have been charged. You've got to decide. You've got to decide. These officers don't get paid vacation. That's the quickest way to get a vacation is shoot a brother. No, these officers must be charged with murder. And that don't take a lot of time to figure it out. You saw what you saw on television, on video. It don't take a rocket scientist to figure out what we saw on tape. Now we gotta have the courage to take a position, whatever the cost. And until you get sick and tired of being sick and tired in no condition, this kind of crap will continue. So this ain't a time for grant hustling. This is not a time for people looking for curry and favor politically. It's going to take moral men and women of courage. It would be the right thing, Chief Sir, if as a man of renown, that you say, you know what, I can see I'm a polarizing figure here. And in order to really give some healing to this community, I'm going to step down. Mayor, you don't have to fire me. I'm going to step down. See, that's the right thing to do. But to throw up a smokescreen that this little brother was a gang injunction list member. What the hell is a gang injunction? These are people that target you and put you on a list when they want to gentrify the community. And put all the others on the list like this. I want to say this last thing. Black lives don't matter in San Francisco. They poisoned the hell out of this community and got away with it. They kill our people, move our people out, and appear to get away with it. So Brother Mario Woods, though he's a painful sacrifice, Brother Mario Woods, like Jesus, is a sacrifice for a bigger cause, even bigger than what he did. That's right.
Okay, everybody. So that's the video. That happened some years ago. I recognize the minister in that. I want to say peace to Nick Taylor that came in. We got August Dream that's in the house. We got Back to the Basics who super chatted me. So you know what I got to do, sister? I got to give you the explosion of the sound.
Thank you for the super chat.
All right. So that's the sound for you. All right. So thank you once again for the super chat, sister. And then I got my man, Kingdom is coming in the house. Kingdom Podcast. Make sure you check out his channel. Thank you for the $5 super chat, brother. and all the blessings that you give us being here tonight. Make sure y'all check his programs out, and let me give him some fireworks as well. Peace to you, brother.
Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat.
Okay, I'm back now. So I really appreciate you coming over and supporting the program tonight. It's not too bad. I had a good number of people when I went on the first time, and for that stream cut off for me, and then I opened up this stream again. So this is a great night. So in a nutshell, you heard him say, and this is very important, you heard the brother say in a nutshell that in San Francisco, black lives don't mean nothing. In San Francisco, black lives don't mean a damn thing. That's what you heard the brother say, and that is the truth. When it comes to San Francisco, you got black people being gentrified out of San Francisco. Black lives do not matter in San Francisco. They have killed black people in San Francisco, the police department. And at that time, the black community was asking for Kamala Harris, who was at that time the Attorney General of California, to step in and investigate the district attorney of San Francisco, because the cops out there are crooked as well, have had a crooked history when it comes to black people. I've experienced some things myself growing up there in the San Francisco area as well, being out there, coming up as a youngster. And once again, Kamala Harris didn't do anything. It wasn't in her best interest politically. And her best interest politically was to be for police, because the police are the ones that got her in the district attorney's office. They got her in the, the top cop of California, because you have to have police unions and police vote for you. You need to, when you're running for office, you need these different groups to support you. And she had their support wholeheartedly. Okay. So I wanted to lay that one on you. And let me say this again, because I know somebody's going to listen to this and they're going to assume that I'm a Donald Trump fan. And by no means am I a fan of this psychomaniac here. I am no fan of Donald Trump, but I'm an even-handed guy. I will critique Democrats when they're wrong, and I'll critique Republicans when they're wrong, and I'll critique them when they're right. I'm just saying that because there's so much vitriol over Kamala Harris being the vice president, and how that's a historical moment because she is supposedly, she's black, even though the only time I've heard her talk about her black heritage was to make it as something as simple and stereotypical as marijuana smoking. And her father was not happy about that. And the funny thing about it is you do not hear much said about her father or her Jamaican or side of her heritage. You just simply hear her father is Jamaican and he came to the States. You hear a lot more about her East Indian side of her family. And I'm going to say this again. You can't be all things to all people. You cannot be all things to all people when you are a mixed race like this. Usually one part, whatever is the most dominant culture in your upbringing, you're going to have leaning or tend to identify with that culture just maybe a little bit more based on who you were primarily raised by. And we know that she was primarily raised by her mother. Something happened with her father and mother where they broke up and they went their separate ways. But I just find it interesting that you're having a lot of East Indian writers that are talking about her. CNN and all the news are going out of their way to interview people of East Indian culture about her. They go deep into her Indian side of her, but not much conversation about the deeper part of her Jamaican roots. I find that interesting. Let me play something for you all that you may remember from the movies. There has never, remember we've always say that when it comes to black people in America, we have no friends. We have a lot of enemies. We have a lot of white supremacy is not something that is just projected towards black people from white people that are white supremacists. White supremacy can be projected towards other people of other ethnic groups, which is one of the reasons why I don't like the term of color, people of color, because when you do that, you put everybody in the same bag with your struggle that is unique to your culture. You can't put everybody in the same bag. Not everybody can be in the same bag with ADOS or people that are American descendants of slavery. Everybody can't be in that same bag. You can't have both. Everyone has a unique culture that's unique to them. Japanese went through their struggles in internment camps. Jewish people went through their struggle, and you don't see them attaching their struggle to other people. Now, there's a movie called Mississippi Messiah. You had Denzel Washington in this movie, and it kind of showed how you have people from East India that came over. And the movie depicts real racism, how you have other ethnic groups that come over here, and they begin to be very disrespectful to black people and treat us. And the funny thing about it is they even look just like us, same skin tone and everything, but they still push the racism or they see us with stereotypes in their eyes. Just the way Kamala Harris stereotyped her own father's culture. And he spoke up about that and said he didn't like it. Let me show you a clip of this movie. I want you to pay attention to what Denzel Washington says in this clip. This is very important. Hang on, let me play this back. Sorry about that. Here we go.
You've caused enough trouble.
Sir?
What do you want from us now? I'm Mina's father.
Oh, I'm Demetrius Williams. Glad to make your acquaintance.
I know who you are.
Then you know I'm here to see Mina.
That will not be possible.
All right. All right, well, then I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk with you, sir.
I'm sorry, but we have nothing to discuss.
No, I think we do. I believe we do, being that you done about ruined my reputation and my business. I think I'm entitled to an answer, don't you? No. I see. I see. So you think I ain't good enough for your daughter, is that it?
No, that's not it. Mina is free to love anyone, to live as she chooses. I respect her freedom. But that does not absolve me of my responsibility as a father.
Well, no disrespect to you, sir, but she's a grown woman and we care for each other very much. Now, I think that's all there is to it.
You know, once I was like both of you. I thought I could change the world, be different. But the world is not so quick to change. Mina is my only child. I don't want her to go through the same struggle as I did.
Struggle? Look, I'm a black man born and raised in Mississippi. Ain't a damn thing you can tell me about struggle.
What do you know about my...
No, I know. I know you and your folks can come down here from God knows where and be about as black as the ace of spades, and as soon as you get here, you start acting white and treating us like we your doormats. I know that you and your daughter ain't but a few shades from this right here. That I know.
Now, that was a very powerful depiction with Denzel Washington. I love that movie. And let me keep it real. I got to give credit where credit is due. It was a well-known Indian woman who wrote this movie, cast this movie with Denzel Washington, and wanted to deal with those deep-seated issues, meaning other ethnic groups have to deal with their racism. What did I just say to you earlier? On the first part of this, East Indians are only 1% of the population in America, if I'm not mistaken. And I should have showed you this, but even on social media, you have had East Indian people say they don't see her as one of them because of the black in her. See? So you got these other ethnic groups, while Kamala Harris is using black people, her blackness, to appeal to black people politically to get where she wants to go. The other side of her culture that she embraces, let me go back here. The other side of her culture that she embraces doesn't really embrace her outside of her immediate family. Because you can go on Twitter, you can go on all these different social medias where people bring up her name to that community, and you've got a lot of them that don't see her as one of them. Although she might embrace the culture, right? As you see on the video here, let's go back here. Right? Let's see this again.
Respectful to call, like, I should be calling you Senator Harris, right?
No, you should not. That's not on my birth certificate.
Okay.
Call
Comma?
me, yes, please.
Okay, because the Indian in me, I feel like my parents, my dad will watch this.
Just don't call me auntie.
Okay. I won't call you auntie. They'll be like, how could you call her by her first name? She's worked so hard. Okay, so what we're going to cook today is an Indian recipe.
Yes.
Because you are Indian.
Yes.
Boom, let me stop it right there. The young lady who's well known, she's a TV actress, says because you are Indian, right? Now, that young lady may recognize her as Indian, but you have many that don't. And what I'm doing in my contrast here is I'm trying to say that it's weird how she embraces that part of her culture, and there's nothing wrong with embracing who you are once again. And peace to everybody in the chat room. And Marlo's Music Corner is right. We do have intelligent conversation here. We have to be able to look at things and critically analyze them. So she sees herself as Indian because her mother raised her, and her mother had recipes and cooked certain food and certain traditions, and she had a great uncle or grandfather that took care of her. But although her immediate family may embrace her that way, that doesn't mean that all people within the Indian culture embrace her the same way, because a lot of them don't see her as even part of them. So that's why this is kind of weird, because while it appears like she's playing to her black side as it relates to politics, it has to be for politics, because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they're not going to get enough votes from the Indian population in America, which is only 1%. So they have to play on her being black to appeal to blacks. But then they have to, at the same time, they have to play on, it's a dual situation. They play on her black side to appeal to black folks because they know that we're gullible enough to go for that okie doke. Because all we got to do is say, oh, they're going to vote because she's black. But then they're also playing on the issue of her being Indian to appeal to white people, white voters and other voters, so that they won't see her as a black woman, but a woman of color or a Indian woman, so that they can feel more comfortable with identifying her with what they would consider a model immigrant, a model person who's an immigrant, like someone who's Asian and things of that nature. Those are the stereotypes, folks, that Asian people are model assimilators to American culture, that they're model people, and black people, we ain't no good. We dirty. We're black people. We're seen as musty, dusty, and crusty, and other groups are seen as better. So they use the Asian part of her to appeal to the white voters so that they'll be willing to vote and go past the fact that, oh, she got some Negro in her from her father from Jamaica who nobody wants to talk about. They keep that hush, hush, while at the same time using her to appeal to particularly black women right now who, as I said earlier, she put her press secretary right now is not a black woman. She made her press secretary an East Indian woman. And I'm going to say this again. Why didn't she make someone why didn't she make it a black woman? And the reason why I'm saying this, and if I can find what I want to put up on the screen, but I can't find it now for some reason. It must not be on here. There was a headline in the papers where she said, you can look it up for yourself, folks. Kamala Harris appoints East Indian Secretary of Press for her. And I'm saying to myself, is that to further give her, excuse me, little cough there, need to drink some water. That was to further make her once again appeal to white voters while accentuating her East Indian side of her. But if black women were the greatest force of getting her the VP position, along with black men, 100 black men writing and begging Biden like he's a plantation master, why would she not put a black person? This is about tangibles. If you want our vote and you want our support, what are you going to do for us? Why are we not represented within your campaign like we should be? Why are we not getting the position like a secretary, a press secretary? That's very important position to have within a campaign for a candidate. See, I got problems with that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how you all feel about that, but I definitely have problems. We're going to say peace to KK in there. August Dreams in the house. G. Scott is in the house. Peggy Ross is in the house. Marlowe's Music Channel says fact information, man. I had some fellas off other cultures that I used to talk to that would say that you are not like the rest of them. That used to always get me upset or make me angry. I hear you, brother. So listen to what I'm saying, because I don't want people to think that I'm saying something to really hurt the sister's image. I'm simply saying there is nothing wrong with embracing who you are. Okay, we all are mixed probably with something if you go back into our DNA at the end of the day. But it's whether you're using it as a political wedge to get you where you want. Like I said, she was all crazy about Willie Brown, and when he was no longer viable for her, she threw him under the bus, traded him in for her, for her man, for her main squeeze. And that's what she did. And this is just the facts. This is not hating. This is just the facts, ladies and gentlemen. This is just the facts of what Kamala Harris represented when she was moving up the ladder. Now, let me go back into one more thing. I'm about to come to a conclusion tonight. Let me give you, to end our show tonight, let me play a clip. This is about 7 minutes, but I'm not going to play the whole thing. This is a clip from Miss Peoples, who was being interviewed from Brother Tone Talks, and peace to Brother Tone Talks, about Kamala Harris's horrible truancy laws or policy that impacted this sister right here. So let me put her on the screen there, and let me let you hear what she had to say. Here it goes.
That is around education. So if your child may have a learning disability, you may fall under the IEP plan, which is an individual education plan. So those are the ones with speech impediments, the ones that may have ADHD, they get a special education plan. But then you have those that may not need an education plan because they're smart. They don't need a special ed teacher. So they typically will give them what they call a 504, which is a reasonable accommodation plan. So that's what that is. And everybody can pretty much apply for it, put it in writing, submit it to the district, and it's basically they're supposed to support you in those areas, supposedly. That's
we got a question from the
Now, let me stop right there, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, I was saying earlier that, let me fade this in. Remember when I was saying earlier that there were black women like Miss Peoples who had a child with special needs, and there were reasons why her child wasn't able to go to school all the time, and she was also in communication with the school because the child had an IEP. She was working with the school supposedly was aware of the situation, but it was Kamala Harris's policies, in which Kamala Harris did policy she didn't give a damn, that put this woman under a lot of distress. Let's hear this.
How did your daughter feel about the arrest, and how did it affect her? And I'm going to go into some details if you're okay talking about that day.
I'm fine about talking about it. My daughter took it pretty hard. She saw it on the news, so I wasn't able to tell her. So it really impacted her emotionally, and she had a stroke a year later.
So her daughter had a stroke because of watching her mother be arrested under Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies impacted black women and black men, and we got black people today running around here cheering, popping bottles, talking about it's a new day, as if we've really accomplished something. And guess what? Kamala Harris has yet to say what she's going to do for black people. How the hell do we get excited about Kamala Harris being the first quote unquote woman of color, Asian woman, or black woman, whichever they want to call her from day to day, to appeal to certain groups? How the hell should black people be all giddy about voting for this ticket and putting her in that office when she is yet to tell us what we're going to get for our vote? Even Joe Biden hasn't really told us what we're getting for our vote. While we got people like Clyburn in the black political establishment all embracing him, singing hymns and church music and tap dancing around the man like he's a god or something, you know, Jim Crow Biden. We still haven't gotten what the tangibles are. That's the problem.
So my daughter at the age of 13 suffered a really massive stroke. So now her right side is hindered. She is bright. She can still talk. She can still function. Thank you, Jesus. But again, you know, her right arm is affected. She cannot use her right hand any longer. So throughout my trial, I was also rehabbing my daughter throughout her stroke.
So now, you know, I want to read a little more of this Huffington Post article because it'll push us into talking about Orange County. My own theory before I read this is that many of these districts started weaponizing these truancy laws to keep you away from, to create segregation. So my theory is basically, if in fact I know that I have a truancy law that I can use this way, I as a district can then use and photograph a woman like yourself being punished under it, and those people like you will not come to my district out of fear of also going to prison or jail. So then I'm able to institute some sort of albeit segregation. And you have Kamala Harris giving that tool through this truancy laws, whether she knew it or not. And, you know, we'll get into those details, but the craziness of that. So what do I mean? Understand, this woman's daughter went to school basically near Knott's Berry Farm, near Disneyland, to be simple. Mm-hmm. LA is down if you come up north. So if I want you to stay in LA and not come.
So let me move it forward a little bit. I want you to hear a little bit more. Here we go.
Policy that Kamala Harris put in place that is now being trafficked around by everyone from Angela Rye to AKAs as this black female first vice presidential nominee for Joe Biden. This is the craziest thing ever, and we need to make it clear this is a problem. Let me read this. Orange County heeded her call, talking about Kamala Harris, with particular enthusiasm. Again, this is where Cherie Peoples' daughter was going to school, Orange County. There's Los Angeles County, then there's Orange County. On the morning Peoples was arrested, police arrested 5 other parents, including several in front of waiting news crews. As part of one assistant district attorney painted as an effort to prevent children from being criminals or joining a gang, as Ms. Peoples said earlier. The district attorney described Peoples' conduct in unsparing terms, telling local news outlets she had ignored the school's numerous requests for me.
So let me stop there. You get the logistics of what's going on there. Let me go back in here. So basically, her truancy laws impacted a lot of black women. Miss Peoples, her daughter, went into, I think, a coma, got sick because of what she saw happen to her mother. The child already had disability issues going on, and the mother actually was trying to get help for her child and trying to work with the school. That was a reason why she was not going to school. She was missing school, not because the parent was just not giving a damn. And this is how her truancy laws can affect innocent people who actually have other things that are going on with the child and other communications with the school. So everything that happened to Miss Peoples was a tragedy. But this is what you're getting from a Kamala Harris. This is what she did. This is what she was about. We got to keep it real, okay? This isn't about me trying to play favoritism. I know there's people out there who who know me, don't want me to do this, probably are not happy about me doing this video tonight. But this is about truth, principles, and character. These all speak to her character as a politician, as a person. And so what make you think that if her and Joe Biden got into office, that somehow those characteristics about her will change? Okay. Now, I'm not saying, I'm going to say this again. I'm not saying that I want to necessarily see Donald Trump in office. It's a tough situation. We were seeing the things that he's doing, the way he's effing up with COVID and everything else. We're seeing how he's jacking everything around. And one has to say that something has to be done. But I'm not saying that Biden is perfect. None of these political candidates are perfect. It's just that if we're going to vote for these people, we should know what their record is. We should know what their negatives are, especially when we're asking black people to rally around her and promote her as the first black this and black that. We got to be smart in who we decide to celebrate. And as I said before, they haven't won an election. She's not, when this whole thing was announced, they act as if they were already in office. They're not in office. So there is no historical moment other than the fact that, let's remember, wait a minute, let me rethink myself. John McCain had a female running mate. Remember? Sarah Palin, and she was terrible. They didn't win. So what I'm saying to you is this isn't a historical moment yet because they have to win. They're putting the historical on it because she's a black, quote unquote, black woman when it's convenient to promote that to black people. And because they know that black people are emotional people, that we will respond emotionally to this type of move by Joe Biden, that we're going to get all giddy and happy and start going out and buying our outfit for the inaugural day that has not come yet, right? You got black folks are so happy about this appointment that they're probably already gone out and brought their outfits. 3-piece outfit, 2-piece outfit, shoes to match. When it comes to the women, y'all gonna have the shoes to match, the hat to match, every goddamn thing. Okay? So let's not start counting the yellow brick road to home base yet, because this election has not happened yet. And there's going to be some funny business. You already see Donald Trump trying to suppress the vote with the post office, cutting down the money that they get, cutting down their sorting machines. So you got a lot of funny things going on that does not guarantee, even those that are for Biden and Kamala Harris, there's no guarantee that they're going to get into office. There's no guarantee with all the funny business that's going on right now. So I just want to thank everybody who's come over tonight to listen to my presentation. This is a 2-part presentation. I got the part 1. This is part 2. I'm just going to turn the second one that I had a malfunction with my computer and the stream had stopped. So that stream will be part 1. I'm going to go into it and change the name and just put part 1. This is part 2. I'm going to put some metadata in this thing. And everybody go ahead and send both videos throughout your social media when you have an opportunity. I enjoy everybody being here tonight. I got DJ Moss in the house. I got D Nubian, DNUBI in the house. Thank you for being here. We got Vacuuming in the house. Earl Owens, G Scott, Tiffany Jackson, HH. Back to the basics. And I thank Marlo, brother Marlo Music Channel. I want to thank you for the work that you're putting in on the channel tonight. You've been great. Everybody's been great tonight. Make sure you subscribe to brother Marlo's music channel. And Marlo, I got to get over to your channel too, brother, a little bit more often than I have. And I will. I appreciate brother Duvian. Okay. Brother Duvian is in the house. Peace to you. Brother Duvian, okay, that's who it is. Peace to you, Brother Duvian. I'm glad that you're here. Tiffany Jackson says, thank you, information man. Thank you in the chat. Yeah, thank you. I want to say I apologize again. But maybe this was a blessing in disguise, because if I would have did it on the first one, this was going to be a super long stream. You know, I'd have been on that. So it's great that I got a 2-part series to this. After I end this, I'm going to change the thumbnail on the second video to distinguish it. But I got to say, I thank you all again for your support tonight. I hope you like the special effects. I hope you like what I'm trying to do with the channel. I always try to give you guys different looks and things of that nature. Keep it fun, keep it keep it moving. And I appreciate you all being here tonight and participating in the chat room. Let me just say this. I'm going to say this again. I know that Donald Trump is a problem, and we probably can't survive another 4 years with that man. I do recognize that the Democrat Party is not a perfect party. They got problems. The Democrats have taken black people for granted, and I have to recognize that. If I'm going to talk about Joe Biden's negatives, and I've done a video on him too, then I have to talk about Kamala Harris's negatives as well. And you heard them on display tonight, and they are very real. And a lot of her negatives seem to always be in conjunction, for some reason or another, as it relates to black people. And I just don't understand why that's always the case. But it has been the case. And I have to tell the truth about that. So with that said, let me get on out of here, folks. I appreciate you all for coming over. Oh, wait a minute. I can't leave yet, because I got to let you guys hear something else to add to my presentation tonight. Remember, I said you saw the video tonight that she could not answer the question of reparations. Well, I interviewed a brother maybe a year ago by the name of Jamie Fowler. He was going around talking to politicians about, hey, what is your thoughts about reparations? Do you support it? Well, right here is an audio of her being asked by Jamie Fowler about reparations, and listen to what she said. Here it is.
Senator Harris, what about reparations? What about reparations, Senator Harris? Senator Harris, what about reparations? What about reparations?
What about
Senator Harris?
Never want to talk to black people.
Okay, what you just heard there, and let me explain before I end the night. Jamie Fowler, who I interviewed, said to her, Senator Harris, he had asked her several times, what is your thoughts about reparations? She just walked right past him with her security and her press and all of that. She never said a word to the brother until she got in the car and she said, "What about your homeowner's policy?" He wasn't asking her about homeowners' Once again, she couldn't answer the sister's question from the grill. She got into this whole, if I do this, it's going to all be trickle down politics for black people. And then when Jamie Fowler asked her a straight up question, she didn't want to answer it. Instead, she gets in the car and says, "What about your homeowner's policy?" Which I thought was a slap in the face. That's what I'm talking about. And near the end, you hear the older black woman say under her breath, she never wants to talk to black people. Now, that's when she ran for president, for the primary, to see who was going to get the Democratic nod to run for president, right? And I talked about that. And I also talked about something else. Let me see if I can find these images. And I thought I had the images there. Remember, I was saying that when she's asked the most important questions related to black people, she dodges the questions, and that is a problem. I'm going to leave you with this again from my brother Urema, talking about the things that she did in California. You got to hear this again.
The most powerful positions in any city is the DA or district attorney because they decide which cases get prosecuted and which don't. One of the most powerful positions in any state is attorney general. Kamala Harris was both. 2015 in California, a bill was pushed for the attorney general's office to investigate all police shootings. Attorney General Kamala Harris refused. Look it up. Through her career as a district attorney, she refused to prosecute cases of prosecutorial misconduct, meaning prosecutors withholding evidence or prosecutors committing straight perjury to get a conviction. Look it up. In one case, she refused to prosecute a forensics lab technician who was messing off evidence. A judge said no. Thank goodness, and over 600 convictions were overturned. Look it up. But the most telling case is death row inmate Kevin Cooper, who even judges say is innocent. He begged for DNA testing. Kamala refused, but only reversed it when the case went viral.
Information is power.
Okay, everybody, that's going to be my conclusion tonight. I appreciate everybody coming over and supporting the show. Do me the biggest favor, share this in your social media. Remember, there's 2 videos. There's video 1, which I did, and this is the second part 2 to the first video. This video, the second part 2, the part 2 version, eventually I'm going to put another thumbnail so that it'll have a different thumbnail from the other one, so it'll distinguish the video. So I'm going to do that in just a moment when I end the program. Thank you, everybody. Peace to you. Love you for coming over and supporting the program. I just hope that everybody is doing well out there. I appreciate you coming over tonight and hanging with me. I know it's late for most people across the country. I had to tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
And examine these issues. Have to examine these issues, ladies and gentlemen. And this was the breaking news tonight. And we know this news already, but I had to add a little bit to this breaking news tonight. And I appreciate you all being here. Take care. Peace to you. Love you. Peace.
Problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Information is power. Information is power. Tell the truth.